3D shaft part 2, essentially. Yes, this one. And I'll show you what I'm looking at on your screens here. All right. And the thing I'm going to do is pull up the actual file that goes with this, um, the PDF like this. Yes. So we've got it all modeled. All we got to do is detail it. So it may or may not have all these dimensions, and I probably will use a few different ones. So I'll just start modeling then and see what I need here. Let me get back to these. There we go. Good. Yes, good. Okay. First thing I'm gonna do is just change my line types in here, right? Because I will have had these new MD layers, these model layers that have been created for me. So let's just at least put that to the right line type. So I'll do a little bit of line management here, layer management, I guess. I'm just on my annotation tab. Not that you have to. I must have been doing some 2D drawings last, so I'm on my drafting annotation tab, which will be fine. I can get to my layers here, but you can always find your layers palette over on that modeling tab too, right? So all I want to do is change these colors and line weights for hidden. I'll turn them down a little bit. That's a 0.13 would be the size for that. And then these would be points for the visible on that would be a 0.4. So just a couple changes there, and then just one color change for hidden lines. And I think that's the only lines I really have in here. Yes, I think so. Ah, that looks better. Yeah, I'm just matching. I'm just matching the other layers that are in there. Yep, that are hidden and visible. Yeah, and then I'll put some center marks on this thing, right? So I'm gonna do center marks. Manage output. What do I need? Oh yeah, I need annotate and I need a center mark. So there's that center mark, and I just need a center line. I don't have a full line segment, so I'll just snap one in here. That's the axis of the shaft there. And I'll pull it down to the ends. Then I'll adjust their ASME extensions to be 0.25. Right, and this one, I'll adjust its extensions. Got it. Okay. And then let's just worry about some overall dimensions here, right? So I've got an overall diameter. So diameter I'll put in the rectangular view. So I'll probably make myself a little more space here. It's good. So I'm going to dimension the diameter here. This is the diameter of our shaft. And then if that's not the right dimension, I'll adjust it because it's really says it's 0.125. So I'll take this out to 3 decimal places for that particular dimension. And I need to add the diameter symbol in front of it. And adjust its accuracy, right? I think we just have a few that might be 3 decimal places here. Then I need the diameter of the smaller diameter as well. This one. Do it in the rectangular view as well. 6.3, what is its dimension actually? 6.25. So it'll really be the same precision as that last one. Am I doing what? Oh yeah, I probably need to get this not spaced and add it here as well. Yes. I agree there. Should not be a space. Just slam it up there like that. Yeah, that looks correct. And I just need the overall length. And I'll also, this is the only view I have that, so I'll put that in here, just on the up above it. Sure. Above it or below, it's fine. Maybe I'll put it below it. I don't know. I'm just thinking I'm going to have some dimensioning here. I don't. I'll change it if I don't like it, but I'm definitely going to put it in here. Try to adjust this to the right point here. Doesn't like me. But I do like where that one's taken better. What is the precision of that one? It's actually just 3 decimal places again. So I'll do that. So I'll just match those properties here. I think I can just match these properties. 3 decimal places. Okay. Looks like I could have used a 3 decimal place dimension style. That's okay. Just keep going. So that's overall. That's overall diameter in those areas. I guess overall size 4062, overall diameter 1.125. Then I've got now I'll start thinking about features, I guess. Feature on the small shaft size is 0.625 in diameter, and I'll put its length in as well. Um, so I think there's a couple different ways I could do this. Depends on which is critical here and which one. Like this is definitely a pretty good place to pull dimensions from. It's a nice flat surface on the back of the shaft. Um, Even I could pull a dimension from here. I could use this surface right here as a datum as well, or I could even use this surface here too. So I feel like I can pull left to right or right to left a little bit on this. And I think it might be nice to, I think what I'm thinking of is kind of the size of this right here, and whether I just plop this. I mean, it might be like your intuition would be like, well, let me just plop this dimension here, or maybe even above it if that's where I'm putting my dimensions. But something like this to here, right, is what I might want to know. And and then and so I could say that this is pulling from this end surface this way, and that's my datum is there. And I think that's okay. And I don't to say which one's better, right or left. This is a bigger surface, so maybe that's what makes it a better datum to pull from. But I think it's arguable that either one would work. And so I could view that I'm pulling this dimension from this front face as well, and I'm pulling this dimension from this front face. So I'm using this, even though it's the littler surface, I'm using this as my datum dimension, maybe. It's also 3 decimal places on our print there, so it's another one. So that's its length, and I've got its diameter, and I've got the length of the overall and its diameter. I really haven't length, so then I haven't really haven't applied a length to this yet. It's I could figure it out between those two, or I could give it. So maybe I'll give it. It's kind of a chain dimension, but it's not a chain dimension that's going to be like 15 different chains, but it is a 2 chain dimension, which I think I'm going to be okay here, like this. 275. I feel like one of these might become this gets into the situation where if I knew which one was more critical, if it's more critical that this is this length, then this becomes the primary dimension, and this one might become a reference dimension. But right now I don't know, so I think I'll just leave it. What it does is it saves me from having to do a little bit of math, right? Like if technically I have that dimension, I just would have to do some math to figure it. And then I would just have to determine if this one is as critical as this one, or maybe they're both critical and I might choose to pull them both from the same datum. I don't know. I'm going to leave it like this, kind of as a chain dimension that I have it. I wasn't given it on the print, and it was kind of something that I would have liked to have had when I was actually building it myself in my model space. I had to kind of do some figuring, or I kind of drew, and then I came back up. And I didn't have that dimension, so having it is helpful. Knowing which one is the most critical one is also helpful, but you have to know the parts relationship to know that. So at least I've captured that. And then I'm going to think about these other. So now I'll just keep focusing on this part here and its features. It has this slot cut in it that we know we cut across here. So I think I'll go point to point for those from and maybe from this end here. But it's really me establishing both ends of this as of this part as kind of critical hold points, but not necessarily till I decide that later. Yeah. So I think I need to know this. So I need to know this to here if I'm using that back surface as a datum. So there's one, and I'm going to pull this one to this one. That's my other dimension here. Of course, my mind's going crazy. It doesn't like any of my dimension selections, but should be 0.68. Yeah, so let me fix it here. Yeah. This is the other problem with some of these is they just don't like to. Yeah, sometimes they don't give me the right dimension unless I can get it reassociated correctly. Yeah. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll say, if that didn't work, let me try to pull it the other way, even though I was thinking about pulling it the way that I'm thinking of the datum. Let me just pull this way. It's funny that it likes that. So in it seems to, oh, I don't know why I did that. That's crazy.
Is it when the dimensions are taken from points of an object that are on different planes? Like,
Yeah, it could be. There is something going on here that I need to do some research myself to see like what I I know that like if you I think it's pretty the little bit of research I did on it even last year, a lot of people said dimensions are hard to get totally associated correctly. I found a lot of people online said, "Oh, we can chase it forever," or I just turn it off at the end. And so I kind of doing what I do here. There probably is some order of operations thing that I'm doing kind of wrong here potentially, or like you're saying that maybe there is some relationship to the object where I'm pulling. I don't know, but it's funny that it pulled different dimensions from one to the other, so that's also kind of strange. But and then if your computers aren't doing the same things mine, yeah, it's totally random is what I've found with most people. So I've kind of just chosen like not to try to find perfect it because essentially these dimensions act like your other dimensions on your other drawings. They're really not totally associated with the part. If you go to move your view in your viewport, you're going to I think well maybe I don't know. Do the dimensions come? Yeah, I guess it's kind of like this. Some come with you and some of them don't come with you as good on when you're moving your parts. Unless you're doing like a move of all and grabbing all parts and move, and then they'll come with you. But if you're actually just trying to pull your object and not move your dimensions with it, then obviously sometimes you lose your object or your dimension points. So kind of reminds me of just a regular drawing in some ways, but I wanted to display the right dimension, that's for sure. And that one is a two decimal place one, right? 6.8. 125 is given. I think one of these is going to become critical and one would become maybe not critical. Um, and I just don't know what it would be, but this is another situation kind of like I did here, where I did give this dimension, even though you were able to figure it out from the difference of these two. I can get this one too from the difference of these two. But maybe I'll just drop in that dimension here too. So I feel like this is just this gray area, whether or not you chain dimensions together, and that one is not the correct dimension, right? Because it should be 125. Oh, sometimes you have to like put it, snap it, and then come out. Well, it'll actually, I don't know. Mine's not working for me well today, essentially, is what I'm finding out. I'm gonna go check my model, just make sure I didn't model that incorrect. The space between these two, right? I don't think I don't know if measure is if you type in measure, oh sorry, I'm in a command. It will be this one, and then I can pick my distances. Yes, but it's funny, it just doesn't. I don't see it like I think. Well, I have it on mine because I'm on the drafting and annotation, but so I could have used. That's all I'm wanting to check is like point to point here. Yeah, technically I have the right dimension, but my this is being kind of goofy. That one's not happy with me though. And then for whatever reason, it just picks the right dimension. I don't know. Like that's totally random to me a little bit. Hmm. Bear with me for a minute. I'm just gonna see if I can. Oh, I did. I did it on purpose though here. So I just bear with me for a minute. I'm just seeing if I move it, will it reassociate? I don't think so. Should- no, no, no. Yeah, for sure. If you get it drawn, we have next week. But even if you want to do it after, you can. I mean, we could do it after Christmas too, but I'm gonna get mine done to. Yeah, it's funny. I just think I was gonna move this over just a little bit anyway, so I'm gonna keep moving it my dimensions a little bit. I feel like one of these might become a reference dimension or even off the other way though too. So even though I'm chaining a couple of these together, I think this is a nice dimension to have rather than do the math. Those are all just held to. I don't think they gave me this one, but I definitely like this one pulled from this datum here. What's this one supposed to be? This one's supposed to be the overall here, the one that was supposed to help me do some math there. Yeah. Yeah. I have one more I'm going to do, but I'm going to do it from the center datum. It's just the depth of this. So, like, we could establish, the very 12 o'clock position of this to be a datum. I think I'm going to pull this dimension here though as my datum, and I think I'm going to pull it out the back. It's not going to, it could be an argument. I wouldn't want to dimension it here at all to the hidden line. Maybe it's more clear if I bring it up here to be between the two views, but just because of the way this end of my drawing is, I feel like I'm going to pull this dimension from here off center to the slot there. Yeah, this is the one that mine did like. I know it's fun. I'm just going to do a little bit of cleanup here. I've got one more feature, so I've got that's all these features. So really, I'm the depth of this cut. Somebody asked me yesterday if I need to dimension this, and I guess I would if I had done a section view. I could cut a section through here, and then I would have this exposed, and I could dimension the length of it there. This is going to be understood, I guess, if I have this dimension here and these other dimensions. If I cut across that, it's going to establish that width no matter what anyway, just based off how that. Well, for math class, we were talking about chords cutting across the circumference. That's kind of what you got here. Is this chord is cutting across the diameter here, and it's going to establish if that was a critical dimension, if I did need to have like this dimension um, as a critical dimension, then I probably would want to section this so that I can dimension this length right here, because I wouldn't want to dimension it right here. So if there are critical features that are needing to be dimensioned, that's why a section view is going to be our friend there. And so what I'll do is here I'll just demonstrate that, even though I'm not gonna use it. I'm gonna use this as my driving dimension, and this and potentially this and this is kind of my size and location dimensions really. But and if this dimension was a really user friendly, which it kind of is, like this is only an eighth of an inch here. If this is like a pretty user friendly dimension, it might become a reference dimension. Nice to see what that roughly is, maybe in parentheses overall. So I think at this stage, a semester in, what you decide is there is a lot of um, there can be a lot of variation from how somebody chooses to the dimensions they choose to put on stuff, and And then sometimes as a drafter, I can do, a lot of dimensioning, kind of get a feel for what the part is. Maybe then go talk to engineering and be like, well, I don't know the relationship of this part and how it works, and so what are critical dimensions? Which ones are going to be reference dimensions? That's a conversation that can happen, and then it help you build the relationship with the part. You can do a lot of work like this. Like I would continue to like add these dimensions, and then maybe go have a discussion, print it off, go have a discussion, and be like, hey, what's the critical holds here? Sometimes experience will help you know that if it's a part that you've designed over and over again, or you learn how your equipment, the way parts work on the equipment that you might be designing for. So, some of this might, you might be able to inform yourself on which ones are critical dimensions and which ones are just going to be reference dimensions. So where I leave some vagueness here is always just because these conversations need to happen. Um, and, and, and maybe, that is something that I would do on occasion, was just spend my time getting, I can put a lot of dimensions on here that I know I need. And then I can, like I said, I can print it off and go have a conversation on which ones we don't need and which ones are confusing or something. So, um, you know, you always think as a drafter, when in doubt, just plaster everything on there. And that just gets a little too busy. So I hope by this time in the semester, we've learned to be a little systematic in our approach to which dimensions are needed. And then trying to find which ones in that gray area. Like this to me is that gray area. Like, what are the critical dimensions I need to have here for this particular feature? And so that's kind of like, well, I don't know. I need to find out maybe. But at least I have them all put on there, and I can, it's just a quick adjustment once I have a conversation. Oh, add some reference dimensions. Oh, maybe omit a dimension here or two. But I wouldn't go talk to an engineer with probably nothing started. I'd probably be like, okay, which dimensions do I need on this? No, no, no. You can do a lot of work yourself getting dimensions, and then you can have kind of like a conversation. Um, yeah, with specifics and not just a whole general discussion of what, at this point, we should be able to know quite a few dimensions that we need. If we just think of size and location and features of parts, there's one more feature I have here, and that's that chamfer here. So I've kind of locked in some of the dimensions around this thing, and then I just need to know this chamfer dimension. And so we can use a multi-leader for that. I'll just put it on my text layer. So I'm on my center layer. So I'll put this on my text layer. And just as a multi-leader text, which we should be using. We have a multi-leader that's kind of, I think it should be like, I don't know what else parameters were, just that it's loading our text size, and that's the most critical thing here. And I think that the shoulder meets the middle of the text, whether it's left or right, like it shows here. So there's just a couple things that have been formatted beyond just the default settings of this. So as long as I'm using that ASME inch leader, there should be a built-in leader style. That's what I'm going to use. Multi-leader. I'm just going to point to this thing. Sometimes I point right to the center line of that line segment. I'm just going to pull this off this way. And then I'm just going to add pretty much the same note. Usually you might put the size of the chamfer and then the degree of the chamfer, which is I think how they notated this right here, right? Yeah, like this is a pretty common sometimes not even having the word chamfer, sometimes just that by 45 degree and pointing at the obvious on the part. You can probably drop the word chamfer. We could add it. That's okay. But sometimes you'll see the chamfer word is not necessary because it's obvious that's what it is. And so it's just that I need the size and maybe the degree. And sometimes I don't even need the degree. Sometimes it's just a 0.03 chamfer, somebody might write. We'll have to Inventor is preloaded. It's kind of like your diameter and radius dimensions that you have preloaded in CAD that'll already apply those symbols. Inventor has it so on a chamfer it will notate it kind of a default notation for chamfer. So that's kind of handy. It's like a dimension that it understands to put on. So when we get to that next semester, we'll see what the difference was. But for this part, I think I'll just do it's a 0.03. This is by, right? Capital by 45 degree. A degree is a symbol that we have access to right here. Right. And then, yeah, if you want to add chamfer underneath it, I think that's fine. Oh, I shouldn't have center justified that. It messed it all up. Sorry. Go back to this maybe. Oh, no, now what am I doing? I don't know. Back to this. This will be good. I'll leave it like that. And I just need to do some spacings here. So I think I just need to start adjusting some spacings, but 375. That's a little. I'm going to pull that away just a little bit more, maybe like that. Maybe not that far. I'm going to tuck this one in though. This one to this one. It's going to be a little too tight at the normal spacing for. And I might just offset this just a little bit more staggered, something like that. Okay, good. Happy there. Um, so I'm going to stagger these next. Yeah, yeah. This is the way I'll organize this here. Just this one to this one to this one to this one. I'll try 0.25. Sorry, that wasn't the correct order of operations. This one to that one to this one to this one. 0.25. Okay, I like the 0.25 spacing there. So I'm gonna use these as kind of a chain. So it's not. I like to actually chain these when they are kind of on the same. I don't know. These are kind of the same features that I'm looking at here. So I'm gonna chain those together. One might become a reference. Yes, I'm gonna chain maybe this one together. Uh, so I know that my rubric always says no chain dimensions, but there are a few times like this where I will chain them together. So it looks good, it looks clean. It is technically a chain dimension, but one of them is going to become a priority dimension probably, and the other one's going to become maybe a reference dimension. So it's likely not that I'm going to drop any of these. It's just that I might change the priority item, which one's priority. But I think this is pretty well established for. Let me just double check if there's anything here. I know we've got some surface finishes we'll talk about next semester. And other than that, I've gathered all the data that it needed to build it. Plus, I've added a few extras that would have been nice to know to build it.
The one thing is, you have at least one other dimension.
What's that?
On the very right side dimension, the depth of the slot, that's three decimals of precision.
Oh, right here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because I got you. If I'm even using a different, yeah, I see what you mean. If I'm using a different, even dimensioning it differently, I should still hold the same precision. 438. It's probably 4375 actually, huh? If I really took that out to four, it actually probably is a nice number. Yeah, 4 decimal places, but that's good. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Technically, the slot was at 3 decimal places, so I should be holding, if I'm dimensioning the slot this way, hold it to the same accuracy. Yes, love it. It's good. This one could move around a little bit if you need to. Yeah, this could move over here too if there's clear, and then it allows my reference sheet to. I try to kind of stay in the vicinity of being like not to the like I would hesitate to move this over to this side of the view. I mean, even if I have space, technically as I'm not projecting, it almost kind of misleads the viewer that I'm projecting from this way, which would actually turn it this way. So I try to keep this. I think some drafters don't care about this or not, but I try to keep that in relation to where it's projected from, so it makes sense, right? Um, so something like this, I think will work good. Yeah, if I don't love those annotation monitors, they're nice to know. I can also just turn them off like that, and I feel better about my life. There are no dimensions here. I'm still going to keep it as just this visual cue, though, and I think this is quite common on a lot of round cylindrical shaped parts like shafts are. That I just keep a view, and it's usually my front view that is um, but you might find that a certain drafting department says, nope, we're going to use this as our front view because it's the longest. And so they would kind of follow maybe the rules of the longest width here. And so they might call this their front view. And then they would want to plop this view over here as a right side view. And I'd be okay with that too. I would kind of do as, when in Rome, do as Romans do. So if they choose to do their shafts, you know, front view is their long linear view, then that's fine. Because I can get behind that pretty easily. I tend to do it this way a little bit because I also think of like round cylindrical parts that we do a lot as mechanical or like flanges. Flanges are just around plates a lot, and we tend to do those front views uh, so we can see the good part detail. And the left side view on a plate might just be the thickness of it. Like we could have done our seal plate, parametric seal plates. We could have shown a right side view that would have just been the thickness of the plate, but we kind of chose to show the profile of that seal plate as the front view. So I kind of keep that concept here a little bit, but. I think the book shows both ways. And I think that's just because in the industry just might vary a little bit. But I'm going to call this part two after I finish just a couple of title block stuff, right? This is now the 10th. Oh no, I'm running out of days to buy any Christmas stuff and have it shipped to me in time. Or for the porch pirates to steal off my porch, probably. Which I haven't been victimized too much, and I'm on the corner of a street that would be so easy to rob me. Just surprised I haven't. Maybe it's just too obvious. There's no clear. Yeah, it's not coverage. Doesn't. Yeah, something's keeping me safe. But I say this now, and everything's gonna be stolen this year, probably.
Yeah, now, but you're out here.
Exactly. I don't watch very well either. I leave my stuff out there for, yeah, exactly. I just need to check what my scale is here. I think it's a 1.5 scale. Yeah. So yeah, remember to just check your scale. I just click a view, but parent view generally, I'll go to my edit view to bring up that scale right there. It'll show me what the scale is. I don't know if it shows me in my properties panel what the scale is. It does actually have it right there. So it's kind of handy if you have your properties panel up, you click your view, you will have like a custom, you'll have the scale listed there. So it's kind of handy. Like the properties, if you've learned, I don't ever usually draw without my properties panel up. Okay. There's just too many controls in there that I need access to. 1210, 25. I just need a title on this thing. This one's 3D shaft. Yes. In class for me. Okay. That thing's ready to print. Check my PDF. Check my line weights. Oh, yeah. They're popping. They're good. Oh, line type scale. I could definitely adjust the line type scale. That could break up a little better. So these things I don't always notice till the only other thing I kind of noticed about that, I did put my multi-leader on my text layer, which is a little bit thicker than dimension layer. I could be wrong. I could put that on my dimension layer actually. Like the text is going to be the text. But now that I think about it, this is what caught my eye. And so maybe I'll change this, is that if I go to my control P again and look at my preview and then just flex this a little bit so I zoom in, you'll see that this does kind of goes beyond the thickness of a standard dimension line and goes to like a text thickness. So I could change that. I think the text shouldn't be a, yeah, I think I'm going to change it to dimension. Like technically I'm kind of using it as a dimension. So maybe this is better to say it's actually on my dimension layer. And then this will be, this is a small detail that probably wouldn't really stand out to you unless you plotted it or printed it. But it's going to, now when I check this now and I do this flex, right? This is how I check mine is sorry, preview that, zoom in and zoom out so you can kind of see how the line weights are going to be affected. Now I'm not going to get that. I'm going to get that my leader line matches my other dimension lines and doesn't act kind of goofy. It's going to plot and print like this, actually, is what it's going to look like. Yeah, that's good. And that's a small detail too, but I do like it. If especially, yeah. Yeah, this is good. Like you'll see, I think you've seen a lot of dimensions in our, or a lot of images in our book that probably they haven't done that, but I do think it's good practice, especially since we have a quick way to do it. So I think that's a good thing to break. This one here, right? The one that I choose to break around this one. Not, I want to do the other way around. I always forget this. Is probably better. This one around this one? Yeah, that's better. Oh, wait, that's still not right. It's the other way. Extension line, that extension line around this one. Oh, I like that better, actually. Yeah. I mean, technically, they're both extension lines, so either one would work fine, actually. The only one that I usually prioritize is when I'm cutting across a dimension line. I'll definitely try to keep it and go ahead and cut the extension lines and let the dimension lines be. But in this case, these are both kind of extension lines. So either tomato, tomato, maybe. Okay. Either way, I'm going to save my PDF now. Last preview. Yeah, it's clean. Let's save it. And then no, I'll stop this one. Okay, I do need to save one copy though. 15. I want to save that though, just that. Excellent. Good. I got myself some new updates this year too. Perfect. So I'll stop that one and then we'll jump into to just doing some art. Heck yes.